This month I'm off day ticket bashing as I visit the famous Monument complex in Shropshire. There are two waters on site, Monument 1 and Monument 2, and today I'm going to be fishing 48 hours on Monument 1 shortly before the lake reopens in the middle of spring. Right, I'm here now with Harry Hales, Rob's youngest son, who's now the fishery manager on the lake, and you're 19 years old, Harry. Yep. I've known about this lake for a long while. It was probably dug just before you were born, weren't it, mate?
Yeah, I think I was about 1 when it was dug, so yeah, I think I've grown up around the lake, and it's nice to see how well it's matured over the years, and yeah, it's amazing to be able to work here now and have it looking so beautiful.
Yeah. How many fish do you reckon are in the lake now then, mate?
In Monument 1 behind me, I reckon there's about 300 fish, 14 of which are over 40 pound. There's 2 fish currently which are very, very close to the 50 pound mark, one of them being called the Big Male and the other one being called Richie. There's also about 85 different 30s in here as well, and yeah, I mean, right time of year now sort of thing before spawning. If you catch a few, it's so exciting because it could be any size, and you know, they're beautiful fish as well.
Mm-hmm. Can you give the viewers then some sort of idea of better swims, best tactics?
Personally, if I was coming on, hemp and maize, a little bit of pellet and boilie crushed up, halved, you know, sort of put a real mixture of bait out. I'll be starting with about 15 to 20 spawns of bait. I'll be fishing over top with little 12mm sort of wafters or pop-up, whichever you prefer. The bottom is really clean on the Monument complex. It's all clay lines and there's no weed in here whatsoever, so you don't have to worry about using a helicopter or worry about having to use a pop-up because of the weed or the silt. It's all clay lined, so I'd be coming on with like an IQD rig, something like that, some fluorocarbon rig which carp can't see as easily, and I'd be using like a little wafter, match the hatch or bright, whichever one you prefer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and are all the swims capable of doing fish on the day?
Yeah, honestly, in Monument 1, it's mad. They go all around the lake. There's no features in here, so there's no reason for them to hold up in any one area unless it's your bait. So I'd be putting a decent amount of bait out. I've just seen one roll there actually. That's right.
Oh yeah, see the rings. Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, I'd be putting a bit of bait out. Make that your feature. Make the fish come to you on your spot, and literally they'll be moving around the whole lake, the whole session, so you don't have to be worried about them holding up in one area. There's no features in here, so everyone's got as good a chance as another.
Okay, brilliant. Let's hope we catch a few then, mate.
Yep, best of luck, mate.
Cheers. Right, here we are then. This is peg 14 and it's roughly in the middle of the lake, and that's the reason why I've gone for it. Plus also I know that Harry's been fishing in here a few times over the last few days as well, so, and he's been catching a few nice fish to just over 40 as well, so they're definitely picking up bait in this area, which is always a bonus. Now it is a pressured lake obviously at other times of the year, but at the moment, as you can see, there's nobody here. It's just before the opening, and I'm expecting to catch 1 or 2. It's going to be probably a lot easier than it normally is when it's rammed with anglers, but they are pressured fish. They have been fished for over the last few days, so they're probably not going to be too naive. But obviously it is May, and at this time of the year they're all due out. There's about 10 40s that have not been caught this year, so hopefully they're going to be up for a munch. There's 1 or 2 of them cruising just below the surface as well, so it definitely looks good. And I know they've not been fed for a few days because Rob, during the close, has been feeding them on a regular basis, but it's not been fed since Monday, so that's a good 5 or 6 days since it's had a feed. So yeah, it looks good, definitely looks good. All that's left now is to get some rods out and see if we can catch some. But yeah, it's got a nice feel to it, and with a lack of anglers here, I think we're going to catch. Right, in this situation when the lake's not really as it normally would be, and there's been nobody fishing on here for 24 hours, what I'm going to do to start with is I'm just going to rig up a rod really quickly and just whack it out there. Just going to try and nick a bite quickly if I can, because I'm hungry at the moment. I want to get some food on the go, and so all I've done is got my normal rigs, the big baits, 18 millers, probably not what you'd expect to use on somewhere like the Monument, but I'm hoping to just nick a bite, so I'm just going to whack them out there now, leave them an hour or so, get me dinner down me, and see if anything happens. You know, it's worth a try anyway. Well, it doesn't surprise me, but those rods that are cast out whilst I ate my sandwich have not gone, and it's probably down to the fact that I had massive hook baits on and really heavy gear. I had size 2 hooks and 35-pound hook links. So, you know, this is a day ticket fishery. It's seen a lot of pressure over the years, and I always think on this type of venue you really do need to fine things down. So I've just spent the last 15 minutes or so tying myself up some new rigs, and we've dropped down to size 15-pound hook links. This is the captive coated hook link, where I've taken all of the outer coating off and we left this lovely braided material underneath it. I've got a size 6 hook on. I've got a tiny little liner there from Avid. And then, as you can see, for a hook bait, I've got one of the PB wafters from DNA Baits. This is a perfect presentation for a venue like this. All I've got to do now is spend an hour or so spotting a load of bait out there. I've got a bucket full of all sorts of bits and pieces, chopped boilie, maize, pellets. I've got some seed in there as well. So an hour or so with the old spod at 15.5 wraps. That should be perfect for this evening. So I've got the reel clipped up to 15.5 wraps, which is where Harry's told me that he's been fishing to. That's where he's put a regular supply of bait, and all I've got to do now is cast to the mark in the distance that he's told me about, which is a group of trees in the distance. So let's spend the next hour sticking a load of bait out there and hopefully get these fish to feed. Oh, thank God that's all done. I'm not used to spodding and marker floating and hitting the clip and all that kind of stuff, so it's a long time since I fished a day ticket water, and if I'm honest, I'm not much of a day ticket water fan these days, but I've done it. I've put a nice bit of bait out there. I've got half a tub out there, bits of all sorts of different stuff, and already there's 1 or 2 fish showing on the area, and I've just had a group of ducks go over the area and they've spooked on what I believe is carp. So yeah, it's taken me about 2 hours to get everything ready, but now it is definitely time for a cup of tea. Well, got the kettle on and looking forward to this brew, but if there's one thing I notice more than anything about this lake is that there is no rubbish anywhere. You know, for a day ticket lake, you'd expect there to be crisp packets, bottle tops, tea bags, all that kind of stuff in the swim, but there is not a sign of anything. It really is a lovely, well-maintained fishery, and I bet there's no rats here either, because it just looks pristine, and it looks like a really nice evening as well to be out on the bank. So I'm definitely looking forward to this cup of tea. That is so needed. Right, morning, and I'm waking up after my first night on the lake, and you probably think I've caught absolutely tons because there's been hardly any pressure on the venue. There's just been Harry and his mate down here over the last week, and on their last trip they didn't catch anything, and yeah, that's my excuse. I didn't catch anything either last night, so yeah, massive surprise, because I did think I was going to catch, and I didn't have a great deal of sleep, but it wasn't from the carp. There's been a load of ducks mating down here and scrapping and fighting, and God, they've made a right row down here and kept me awake most of the night. Now I have got the opportunity of fishing tonight. The lake doesn't open for another few days, but you know, it's yeah, scratching your head time, because you'd think when there's been so little pressure on the venue that they'd be lobbing themselves out on the bank, but I can assure you I have not seen one carp top since I've been here. I've seen a few fish cruising around, and unfortunately you're not allowed to use zigs on here, but that's probably the one tactic that I would turn to if I could do. But you know, I'm still confident that I'm going to catch something before I leave, just because I've not caught anything for the first 24 hours. But you know, I was here on this lake when it first opened about 15-20 years ago, and Rob had been feeding the fish. They was lobbing themselves out of the water, and as soon as we started casting out, they just went completely quiet. And I think from memory there was just 2 carp caught to about 17-18 lads fishing. So you know, that is carp fishing, and I'm going to get this brood down me in a minute, and then sit there scratching my head and trying to work out a plan of how I'm going to catch one. But yeah, very quiet. Very surprised actually, if I'm honest, but it's not over yet. It's certainly looking like it's going to be a nice day today, and it's a couple of hours on since first light, and I'm still fishless. So in my mind I need to do something. You know, this lake sees a lot of pressure. They've seen everything over the years, and I can't sit here and wait for a bite. I know I've got to do something, because it just needs a little tweak on something, and that can be the difference between catching or not. So one of my rods is definitely coming in, and I'm going to revert to one of my all-time favourite carp baits. I'm not sure which one yet. It's either sweet corn or maize, but one of those two. Very visual. There's been a lot of it gone in there over the years, so if that doesn't do me a bite, then nothing will do today. But yeah, time for a change. Here's a look at what I've changed over to then. The rig itself is no different to what I was using before. It's exactly the same components. I've just got a little bit of a longer hair just to accommodate a couple of grains of maize right next to the PB wafter. Really simple. Let's hope it does the trick. Well, there you go, a bit of change of tactics, and it's paid off. Sat here all night without anything, and then changed the tactics at well, almost first light, and a couple of hours later, one in the net. Brilliant. First one. It might not be the biggest fish in the lake, but having blanked last night, I've got to admit I was thinking, God, this isn't going to go well. But there you go, there's my first one. Little change of tactics, and we've got one on the bank. And you're probably looking at the net and sling and the cradle and wondering whose is that, but it's not actually mine, although it's Avid's. We actually sponsor RH Fisheries, and we provide all of the nets, the slings and the mats. So if you're thinking about coming along, you don't need to bring those items of tackle with you. Lovely, first one. Let's hope we get another one. Apart from your hook baits, all of the bait that you're allowed to use on the Monument Complex has to be purchased on site from the RH Fisheries office. There's loads of different types available, boilies, particles, all freshly rolled and prepared. And looking back at my session now, for the first 24 hours I didn't get a bite, and I think that was mainly down to the fact that I was using bait that wasn't that fresh. It wasn't until I switched over to the fresh particles on the left in this shop, the hemp and the maize, that I started getting bites. And all I've been doing is just spotting out 2 or 3 spots of bait, and then fishing a couple of grains on the hair alongside a PB wafter. So the advice from me is to keep it fresh. This month's product plug is the Avid Carp Outline Mono. I've been using this incredible reel line for 18 months, and it is first rate. It breaks up its own outline underwater, making it hard for the carp to detect. The clear finish has been combined in a 2-tone construction with a specially developed algae coloured tint to offer great levels of invisibility. The material itself has great knot strength but remains smooth for casting, and it has great abrasion resistant qualities, making it perfect for all forms of carp fishing. It's available in 12, 15, 18 and 20 pound bulk spools of 1,000 metres, and these are priced at less than £20 if you shop around on the net. So for more info, check it out at avidcarp.com. Oh, I've got to sit down. Yeah, going into the last night now, and the fish have been a lot more active today, so I'm hoping that they're going to have a feed tonight. Apparently Harry says that the fish have mostly been feeding in the night time, so yeah, I've chased them around, I've tried surface stuff. I had those 2 this morning, and I thought, if I'm honest, that's it, that's going to be the start of it. I'm going to get a few more, but I've chased them around today. I've tried them on the surface, I've tried all sorts of different baits, but no good. But they have been active this evening, cruising around, so I've wanged one right over to the far side in one of the corners where I've seen quite a few fish showing, so I'm hoping that's going to do me a bite. I've gone around there just now and spread quite a bit of hemp and maize around there, and I'm just sticking with the other spot that's out in front and see if that does me a bite. So yeah, tough trip so far, but we're going into the last night and hoping that it'll all come good. So we'll see you in the morning. Oh, well, that has saved the day. Not a bad one. I bet that's close to £30, that one. God, at last. Just lying on the bed chair thinking it looks really good for a bite, and the left hand rod's just trundled off, and it looks like a decent fish. It's certainly over £30, I think, so that's a lovely way to end this trip, if that's the last one that I've caught. But you know, I think what we've shown is that lakes that people consider to be really easy ain't always easy, and at the moment there's been very little pressure on this place, and fishing has been a little bit different to what I expected so far. I've only had 4 fish now, and one half decent one, which is the one down there, and it's probably a little bit different to what people would have expected. And at this time of the year as well, you'd also think that the fishing is going to be really easy, but even on venues like this, sometimes you've just got to think a little bit differently to what everybody else is doing. Just try stuff that's a little bit different to the norm, and sometimes just wait for the fish to feed as well, you know. And that's, I think, what the main key has been on this trip so far, is that even though the conditions are right, the time of the year's right, sometimes you just have to wait for them. And although I've changed things, it's given me 4 bites, I definitely think sometimes it's that waiting for the fish, and a lot of carp anglers nowadays don't want to do that. They think there's a shortcut to success, and you know, there isn't. Honestly, I've been around this game a long time. No matter how many times some of these companies try and sell you a shortcut to success, it doesn't exist. You've just got to be there on the right day, the right time, right circumstances, fish well, fish as good as you possibly can with stuff that you're confident in doing. And I've remained confident throughout. I have scratched my head a little bit, but it's turned out to be a good trip, and it's certainly a venue that I definitely recommend to anybody that's just getting into carp fishing, or somebody that just fancies a break from the syndicate lake to come down to a water and fish in a nice environment and have a good chance of some decent fish. So definitely gets a thumbs up from me. Well, there you go, what a great way to end. And if there's one way of summarising this trip, it's that sometimes you just got to wait for the fish. Fantastic. Let's get him back, get ourselves packed away, and let the other lads enjoy this magnificent complex. If you're interested in fishing on the Monument Complex, then visit www.rhfisheries.com, where you'll find full details and drop-down menus with regards to dates, swim availability and payment options. There are brand new toilets and showers on site, and this lovely Shropshire complex is open to all.